All right, race fans, we're going to welcome Darren Coffell, driver of the number 46 Rocket Chassis, over here at center stage at the 2016 Northwest Race Car Show, presented by Jetstream Aqua Massage and Moxie Media Promotions. Darren, welcome to the Moxie table over here. We want to say thanks for taking time to do an interview with us. We really appreciate it. Very, very nice looking race car. A lot of time went into this, and definitely one of the cars here that everybody's talking about.
Well, thanks. It was kind of fun to do. I thought I had to do something a little bit different than normal, and I think it came out pretty good.
Very different. Very different. A lot of people really looking at this thing, kind of raising their eyebrows, going, wow, he really went all out this year. But talking about this year, 2016, you were so close, on the cusp of landing in victory lane. In 2015, a three-time track champion at Willamette Speedway. Definitely a guy very familiar with victory lane at that racetrack. 2016 shaping up, talking with you throughout the winter. It sounds like your program is dialed in and you're on point. Let's talk about what the plans are for Darren Coffell in number 46 this race season.
Well, hopefully my plan is to win every race and take it away from everybody. But hopefully a little bit unlike last year, where I decided to find out every way you can lose a race. So I'm thinking this year I'm going to try to see if we can win a couple races.
As growing up watching you, when I was a little kid out at Willamette Speedway, you, Russell, Duty, you had, Monty Mitchell, you had Monty Murphy, all those guys sort of like that. And your name always stands out, coming out from Bend, Oregon, you travel a little ways to Willamette Speedway, and watching you talk about a surprise when we got here last night and you unloaded this thing, people that can't see it, that aren't down here, at Heritage Mall down here in Albany, Oregon for this car show, you are definitely missing out. This thing, it's black with orange highlight, but what is absolutely cool about it is you have like a pearl sparkle in the wrap that is absolutely, when it gets underneath the lights, this thing is absolutely going to be amazing. How did you come up with this? I know you talked a little bit off record, off the mic. You said you just want to do something different. This is different. This is way cool. What made you want to go, this route instead of a standard wrap?
Well, I'm always looking for something a little bit innovative, and I saw this material. It's pretty new. It was released about 2 months ago, and kind of wanted to try it. It's a little bit expensive and stuff to buy, but I got to see what it does. So I decided to buy it and put it on there. And last Saturday when we put it on there, we did it. I was completely surprised at what it came out to. It was a big surprise for me at the same time.
Well, it's fantastic. I mean, the car is, in a sense, a work of art. And, Darren, around the racing community, you're one of those guys that has that reputation of doing your homework, really understanding what these cars do, how they're built, how a change reacts underneath you, and, kind of a scientist of sorts when it comes to making your race car work under you. And you're one of the best. We've saw it, with 3 track championships and the battles that you had, that could easily been 6 championships had, the points battle between you and Bob Jeffrey in those years not been so close. And like I said, 6 titles would have been unheard of. Put you in the upper echelon, the elite. Not that you're not already, but understanding these race cars, like we talked about, you've kind of that scientific approach to racing. Your program, from the time you got into the late model division back in the old days at Willamette Speedway to now, hasn't changed a whole lot with your approach. Do the homework, get the car right, and it'll be there. And it's been successful for you. Let's talk about the Rocket Chassis, your driving style at Willamette, and why you have found so much success in the late model ranks.
Well, a lot of it is paying attention to things, and to be totally honest with you, for a few years we kind of stepped back and didn't really race much. And during that time, things evolve constantly. And I came back in there, and of course, coming from all of that and the success, I came back thinking, well, it's probably the driver is probably the biggest thing. And I got right back in the cars. I couldn't even make a main event anymore. I'm going, maybe the driver's not everything. And we probably need to pay attention to what's really going on. And that was kind of a transition from the wedge cars to the now cars. And it was just a whole different way of thinking about it. So then I had to go back to school and start learning, okay, what makes these tick? What do I have to do differently? And it was kind of an evolution of sorts to that way. We had some pretty good success with some of our older cars and learned a lot. Picked up this new car, and I've gotten a lot more in tune to what the newest technologies are and stuff. This year we've done quite a bit of different things with our car. Pretty interested to see what goes on. If it gains even a fraction of what I think it should, then we should be in really good shape.
Yeah, you talk about the wedge cars and stuff. In the 90s, when we grew up, watching you guys, with the big spoilers, big wings. You go to some of the open comp shows, and they had 15-foot wings, and it was all the way down the whole driver's side, and the big spoilers and everything else. And now you got the plastic nose. You still have the wedge front nose and everything else, but you don't have the big rake in the back. You just have the 8-inch spoiler and that type of stuff. So going from the transition of the 90s, and now we're almost 2016 now. What was the difference of driving style for you to go from those older cars and having a couple of years and stuff that you just kind of took a little bit of time off and then jumping back, and now these super late models, what we're pretty much calling them now. What's the difference?
Well, in all reality, these cars drive off the corner better than the wedge cars ever did. But these cars don't enter the corners like the wedge cars did. You could drive a wedge car into the corner just super hard, park it and take off, put a ton of stagger on it to turn out of the corner. These cars, you go a little too far into the corner and the game's over and stuff, and you're just spinning your tires going, wow, what happened? I can't seem to get this. And it's really hard for me because I'm one that likes to charge the corners really hard, and I'm used to that, and these cars don't. They want a lot more finesse on the corner entries.
Yeah, last year, 2014, you were 8th in points. That's what you finished. And in 2015, you of course, came up a little bit and, of course, finished 3rd in points. You're a 2-time I-5 Series champion. Like Corey said, that you're a 3-time Willamette Speedway champion. What is your main goal for the 2016 season?
Well, as I've approached it over the last several years, we're just going to go race to have fun. I don't really worry about points anymore. We just go race when we can, and if everything works and the car's not broken, we have time to do it, we're going to go and do it. Last year was kind of a surprise to me. I really didn't set out to do anything points-wise. In fact, when my daughter graduated, we took off a whole weekend, didn't even show up at all, which I could have, but I wasn't really thinking about it and stuff, and pretty quick at the end of the year, I'm going, well, if I wouldn't have missed that race, which is 100 and some points, which were only about that far out of the top, I wonder what that would have been like.
Well, and that's another big change, not just in the cars over your career, but you as a person over your career. You've got a daughter that's now in college, and she actually is a big part of your race team. I mean, if Darren Coffell's at the racetrack on a Saturday night, Alexa is usually there doing something for you on the car or with the team. I know she's been there. I mean, I remember watching her grow up at the racetrack, and it's to see that young lady in college now and made the trip from Spokane. What is that? I mean, hours of driving to get here to support you here at the car show. She's an integral part of your team, and it's been fun to watch you guys as a father, daughter, and a family unit at the racetrack. How important is she to your race team? I know a lot of little things I see her doing in the pit area.
Well, to be honest, I probably would have retired over a couple of years ago. Really thought about it. Things just weren't going right, and I wasn't super happy with stuff. I still love these cars and everything, but it becomes a lot of work, and work was getting in the way. And if it wasn't for my family and my daughter especially, I probably would have quit. But they like it so much that it's such a family time for us that we just have a good time with it.
Well, it's kind of like all she knows. I mean, that's been her weekends for her entire life, in the summertime during race season. But, Driving Force Graphics, your business you've started years ago and built. I mean, you're highly successful over there in the Bend area. Let's kind of talk about what Driving Force does, because it's not just race cars. I mean, that's kind of what you're known for because of the coolest looking race cars. I mean, you guys do some fantastic stuff. You're in a competitive market. There's several other guys around you, with Showtime, and you've got Finish Line, Charlie James. I mean, you guys are all pretty good friends, but you guys are in a really competitive market. How are you making Driving Force kind of stand out amongst the other ones?
Well, because I'm a racer and I understand what racers go through, I always wanted cool cars that didn't cost a fortune. I'm not going to get rich on doing race cars because honestly, I do them for about the cost of my materials and time. Most of our money comes from doing commercial signage and stuff, but I still enjoy the race cars, and I still like the challenge of trying to have the coolest one.
Excuse me. So with Driving Force Graphics and everything, what made you decide to go this route with the outstanding, decals and everything, and with the new graphic material? Did you do a lot of research and stuff before you got into this, or was it just something like, hey, look, I want to see if this material is out there, and I already had a vision?
No, I just, I'm always looking for something new and kind of different, and, we don't want to get too stagnant on stuff, and I did a little something last year with a different type of a sparkle thing that just didn't pan out, and this one came up, and, I got to try it and see what it does, and what better place than on a race car, because if it doesn't work, we're going to be changing it soon anyways.
Well, if looks made race cars go fast, this thing would do like 5 million miles an hour. It looks like it's going 150 just sitting there. But, in the recent, the latter part of your stage here, you've made the switch from the Barry Wright chassis to the Rockets. You had a lot of success in those Wright cars. I mean, hundreds of feature wins. The Rocket compared to the Barry Wright, why, and what do you feel different underneath you with those two chassis?
Well, the biggest thing we had with the Barry Wright cars, we were going, and they were really good cars, and Barry does a lot of experimenting. And sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. Through the experimenting parts, you get cars that don't work so well and cars that do work well. Every time you call them, they got some new front suspension on there, so it's costing you $1,000 to buy new parts. And Rocket was always consistent. They always kept their cars the same. They just worked and refined them, which I really liked, and I wanted to try it. I needed to branch out to something else. Seriously thought about switching back to Rockets last year. Talked to them about it, went through the whole deal, and it just made sense more financially to stay with the Rocket because they literally don't change that many things. All my parts would work. So money-wise, it was better. This new car is so much better drivable car than what I had before that it's just a blast to drive it.
In Rocket Chassis and stuff, our family organization, his son drives for him. He was training in NASCAR and stuff there for a little bit with Kyle Busch. What made you want to go ahead and do the driving force graphics? Where did that actually come from?
Well, it really did come from racing and stuff. I was an automotive machinist for 11 years, building engines and et cetera. And I always had my cars lettered out by another shop. And I always thought that it was some kind of, black art thing that only certain people were talented enough to do that. And I was over to the shop a couple times, and they were just literally taking templates and laying things out and do that. I go, well, shoot, I can do that, So I lost my job doing that, and I decided I wanted to do something different. Was a little bit burned out on that, and I'd always liked the graphics end of things, and so I bought a computer and a plotter and didn't have a clue what I was going to do with them. And just kind of started working on at home, putting things together on the kitchen floor and stuff like that, and it just kind of grew from there. And I just really enjoy it. We never have an unhappy customer, which I can't say in the automotive world because people usually their cars are broken, they're mad because they got to pay money and everything. With graphics, you show them ahead of time what they want. They come to you because they want something, and if you can provide them something that's cool or a bit better than anybody else, that's kind of where I get my thrill from.
There's a lot of cars here that have your graphics and stuff on there and are amazing. I mean, when we pulled in again last night, watching the cars and stuff come through and have your logo and everything on it and know that it's coming from you, you have to be proud of that. These guys are bringing your product, their image and your image and their design, bringing it in here. There's so many people and stuff that walk through, and when me and Corey have walked up and down these hallways, all day and go, oh my God, that is a cool looking wrap, or that's a cool looking design. It's really cool to watch your product and stuff go through. And kind of going back to Willamette Speedway last year, out of 16 races, only one race you didn't finish out of the top 5, and that was the second race of the season, and finished 16th. What happened there?
Well, I think we were mowing along there pretty good. We were running around 4th or something like that, and all of a sudden I come off the corner and the car just dropped down to an idle. And I knew immediately what it was. Apparently we didn't get the throttle rod tightened up on the thing right, and the throttle just fell off and the car went to idle. I was doing everything I could to just not get in everybody's way and get ran over. Fortunately that happened, but as it came in, all you could do is just shake your head and go, wow, that was really stupid.
It happens to everybody every now and then. But, Darren, you've had a great career over the decades. I mean, you've really been, 3 decades in these cars now. You're at a point now where you're seeing the guys that you've raced with over your career start to retire. Russell sold his equipment. He's done. Bob Jeffrey kind of bounces back in and out in the super sport class, not really racing with you. But you're starting to see those guys drop off, and you're starting to see the kids behind you, the younger generation, start to really press you and find some success. Let's talk about, what the difference is racing with those guys and these kids coming up, and how you've managed to be successful for so long.
Well, I think a lot of it is, a pure dedication, because we raced through the years when you didn't have a lot of money and you had to create things and do stuff yourself. What I see now is, kids are coming along and they're kind of